Hello everybody. Once again, I'm welcoming you on Literati Adda. I, Gaurav Sharma, your guide for assistant professors in the field of English literature only. Okay. So, I have already given you four lectures, and in the series, this is lecture number five. So, we are moving forward with a little knowledge that we are going to include in the previous knowledge. Okay. So, we have already discussed over a lot of points. Now, I will try my best to give you a few more, I should say, crisp information that can enhance your personality in interview, including your knowledge. Okay. So I have given you basic points. Now I'm moving forward in the domain of literature. That is, I should say, quintessential part of our subject activity. So today we will discuss about the, I should say, brief information related to Anglo-Saxon era. Okay, that will help a lot to know about the, I should say, old English literature. That is also very important part of uh, interview section actually. But the thing is that a very few information is, I should say, prescribed in the syllabus of AP's interview syllabus for English literature. But still, I'll give you some sort of information related to it. For example, for your kind information, I must let you know what kind of themes are being followed by the authors who were writing in the period of Old English. So, if we talk about Old English was actually archaic English. When you going to, I should say, read in between lines, you will not even understand a single word out of the whole text. That why? What is the reason? The reason behind it was the language is evolving time to time, and when we going to, I should say, study the changes in language from one point of time to other point of time, that we call diachronic study. And when we are going to analyze a language at a specific point of time, that we call synchronic study of language. Okay, these are two basic points that fall under the, I should say, English language uh, curriculum information related to it. If we talk about Old English, so what kind of literature was being written? For your first of all, for your kind information, I must let you know that listen, majorly oral literature was there. What was the reason? And they don't have, I should say, the people were not that much literate that they supposed to write, I should say, some sort of literature. So the major part of literature was being spoken, or I should say, being transmitted from one to another person. This was the kind of major literature. If we talk about, I should say, a very handful kind of literature was existing that was written in prose or poetry, I should say. If we talk about the major genres of literature, then you will see that majorly prose and poetry was being existed. Rest, there were no information about the dramas, or I should say about the novella or novel form that was developed in later centuries. Okay, if we talk about what were the major themes that was being used in old English language, then we can see three major things. First of all, religion. Religion is always a matter of concern, not only in English literature but in many other literatures as well, whether it is related to Hindi literature, English literature, Tamil literature, Sanskrit literature, etc., etc. So this is the same with English literature as well. The, I should say, listen, in England, Christianity was not found before 5th century. Before 5th century, there were paganism. Paganism is, I should say, some sort of religion which was actually influence from Roman people. When Julius Caesar attacked over English people, he simply teach them their own religion, Romans religion, that is paganism. Okay, so in paganism, what we see in paganism, paganism is some sort of philosophy which is somehow related to our culture as well, and our religion as well. How in paganism, in each and every single thing can be worshipped by the person. For example, moon, sun, trees, and then animals, something like that. That everything has a god. This is some sort of, I should say, philosophy related to paganism. So paganism and Christianity, these were the two major sects, over which literature was being written. If we talk about the other themes, then we can see major part of it. War is also a major theme, and we can see a glimpse of war in the famous work that is Beowulf, and it is also considered as the first and foremost important poem of Old English language. Even though there is no information given about the author who was actually famous author who authored this work as well. Na? The Vision of the Road. Na? This was actually, I should say, dream allegory form kind of poem. Na? So this was a poem in which simply a person actually able to see something in his own dream, and this is the road. Road is actually some sort of plus, it is very, I should say, holy sign for the Christian people. Some sort of, I should say, some sort of stretcher where Jesus Christ was crucified. Okay, so this is something about vision of road. So what he actually sees that a road is talking to him, and this is written in dream format, which you must have heard a famous text that is Beowulf. You must witness the same thing. Beowulf actually is a kind of poem which was also written in Anglo-Saxon era, and the writer is unknown who wrote this work actually, and this is a masterpiece. You must have heard of a person, J.R.R. Tolkien, who has written a famous work that is Lord of Rings. He has also written a series called Hobbits. So these two major novels are somehow influenced from the work that is Beowulf. Okay. So I should say the interpretation of Beowulf was given by Mr. J.R.R. Tolkien, and after that, this work becomes so famous that even people are trying to analyze it in their own ways. The people who belong to field of history, so they are analyzing it in their own perspective. This poem simply gives information about a Scandinavian soldier who simply try to save their own people, some sort of witches and monsters, something like that. So mythological creatures are indicated in this poem. So there must be fear in the people, and for these kind of creatures, it simply shows the mythology of the time, the what kind of, I should say, thinking was there in the mind of the people who were living in the Anglo-Saxon era. So this was about the Beowulf. Beowulf is a primary or very important, I should say, poem. And along with that, I have also given you idea of the Vision of the Road. This was also a famous work. Then you must have heard of a famous anthology of poems that is the Exeter Circle. The Exeter Circle is also I should say a famous anthology of poems, and it was actually recalled as a very important and first primary text of English poems by UNESCO. Getting my point? So this is also becomes a very important source of poetry. Okay, Exeter book was actually, I should say, manuscripted around circa 1970. Okay, so this was 10th century anthology of Anglo-Saxon poetry, and it was given by Mr. Bishop Leofric to Exeter Cathedral. It was a some sort of church actually, and it is considered as the largest and oldest Old English poetry literature. Okay, and it was actually I should say marked by UNESCO as the world's principal cultural artifacts. So this was basic information about the Exeter book. If we talk about majorly, I should say, the famous poems related to Exeter notebook, there we will witness a lot of poems including the Wanderer, the Seafarer, the Wife's Lament, the Husband's Matches, the Rune, the 95 Riddles. So these are basic information, I should say, the Exeter book, very important sort of collection that we supposed to keep in our mind. The prose, what kind of prose by being written, then you must have heard of Venerable Beats, the history of English people. It was originally written in Greek language, then it was being translated, or I should say it was translated by few scholars, not exact idea who was that person or who were those persons who actually translated this work, History of English People by Venerable Beats. Then we have also a famous work, The Chronicles of Anglo-Saxon Kingdom. So this was a kind of, I should say, magazine, or I should say a kind of journal in which many stories are being written Actually, what I found from this period was like, you must have heard of King Arthur, same king whose, I should say, information is given, or I should say prescribed in your syllabus for AP. King Arthur, you know, the person who has round table around, I should say, 12 soldiers in the service of Mr. King Arthur. Okay, so what Fairy Queen is a famous prescribed work in your syllabus by Mr. Edward Spencer. So we are right now talking about King Arthur. So what I'm saying is that King Arthur was also living in Anglo-Saxon era. So what you will witness like something. Listen, the work, the Chronicles of Anglo-Saxon Kingdom. This was, I should say, kind of magazine or a newspaper, or some sort of prose work actually. So this simply gives the information about the period around, or few centuries, or I should say few years around the Anglo-Saxon era. And the King Arthur is also, I should say, assumed as a king of Anglo-Saxon people. If he was residing in that era only, then why he was not present in Anglo-Saxon chronicles? This is a great question. So what you found in that, the thing is very much quiet and simple. Like, if a person actually existed in that era, then why he is not prescribed in the Anglo-Saxon chronicles? This is a great question actually. So what actually happened with that? It is a legendary tale of King Arthur. There is no historicity of the person. There is no actual information given related to King Arthur. What I mean to say that it can be a fictional character, it can be a mythological character, or maybe it is somehow a deity. So there is no exact information that we can witness in Anglo-Saxon chronicles. It is a famous work, fall under Old English. So this was, I should say, basic information related to Anglo-Saxon era. Now, if we move forward and talk about other things, then there are many other as well. And also the trial of daily life, that what was there in daily lives, how people were dealing with their problems, how people are longing for their lords and lordships. Okay, something like that. So if we talk about majorly the writers who are writing poetries, or who were writing poetries, then out of them I will choose two names as very important figure in the domain of Old English poetry. First is Caedmon, and the second is Sandwulf. They were a very important people, I should say. Actually, the thing is that after in the transmit of Anglo-Saxon era, we can see the rise of poetry. At Caedmon, Sandwulf was writing there some sort of poetries. There are not very much information given about the Sandwulf and Caedmon. So what we supposed to do is that we have hardly any information about them. Okay, and very less amount of poetry they also wrote. So that is why I was saying in few minutes before that very handful of text we have, because that, I should say, manuscript was unable to survive to present period. If we talk about major works, then Doer is Deor. It is actually a kind of poem. It was written in 42 lines. Okay, so this is simply, I should say, a given information which simply deals with daily life. Believe, assume like I'm a servant of someone, and I'm serving for my lord for a long period, and all of a sudden my lord hires someone else and expel me from the job, and then right now I'm just putting out my anguish before the people, or I should say before the reader, and he is listening me. So this was the basic theme of Dior, Deor. This was the famous Anglo-Saxon poetry, and I'm giving you information. So in case if they simply ask you, tell me something about the themes, major themes used, or I should say incorporated in Anglo-Saxon poetry. So for that, I'm giving you basic information that we should have fair idea that what kind of poetry was being written in Anglo-Saxon era, or I should say in Old English. So this can be one famous example, Deor, Dior. Okay. So this was the basic information about Old English poetry and prose. I hope you people get it. If you love the content, if you love the video, then do subscribe the channel and share with your loved ones. If someone is also preparing for MPPSC Assistant Professor's interview, kindly share this video with them. And thank you very much. Now I will meet you in next session with Middle English language literature. Okay. So till then, goodbye and thank you very much.